Earlier this week, I talked to a 47-year-old airline captain, married, 2 kids, 2 teenagers, one going into her senior year, getting ready for college, and his son's in 8th grade. And this family made a choice that I envied because they chose early on, before middle school, to homeschool their kids. And they spent about 3.5 to 4 years living in an RV, traveling around our amazing country, even though he had built a great career. And he earns incredible money, top 5% money in our country. But yesterday he said something to me that stopped me. And that doesn't happen that often. But he said, Jason, I feel like we're spinning our wheels. And so we pulled up his numbers and I saw it immediately. $426,694 in interest that was going to leave his family if they stayed on the current path. And I was going to be sent to someone else's family. And here's what bothered me. He wasn't screwing this up. He was doing what responsible people are told to do. He was doing what many of us have been doing for a long time. And so that's what I want to show you today. Not how to make more money, right? We all want more money. Anybody here, put it in the chat. Not how to stop taking trips with your kids and tighten your belt. Not another lecture about, like I said, cutting expenses and tightening up your belt and living more frugally. I want to show you why you can make great money, aggressively attack your debt, do what you've been told to do that's financially responsible, and still feel like you're spinning your wheels. More importantly, I want to show you the one question that changed the way that we started looking at his entire financial picture. Where does your money go first? Because we know that matters a hell of a lot more than how aggressively you're trying to make that interest disappear. So let me share my slides with all of you. Here's the reason we're talking about this today. I watched in real time this happen on the call. He came into the conversation thinking about debt and really confused about the system, not really having an idea of what we were going to talk about. Just feeling like I could feel like he was hopeful but reserved. I could feel his energy. And he was confused about the system that I've taught thousands and thousands of people at this time, right? It's just a pattern. And he spent 2 years studying money, reading infinite banking books, watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, and he even found something, because he had so much pain, he found something called accelerated banking, and he signed up for this course. And he went and got a second lien HELOC and started using velocity banking to take control of that high interest credit card debt, right? And kind of refinance it and use math to go faster. So he wasn't coming into our call saying, hey, save me. He was really trying to figure this out. And he didn't want to make any more mistakes. And when I was sitting down with him and his wife, she told me something that really got my attention. I was just listening to how she talked, how she thought. And she's like, yeah, we're homeschooling our kids. I was going into some of these homeschools because they're already teaching their kids to question the systems around them. Is familiar? Questioning education, questioning food, questioning healthcare, questioning finances. So they already believed, right, that some of these systems can keep a family stuck. They're already aware that something was a little bit off. And yet financially, they still couldn't exactly see where they were stuck. So I said, let's talk numbers. Give me your numbers. Not my numbers, not some chiropractor from, the presentation that goes from 26 years of debt to 6. Yours, your income, your debts, your cash flow, your life. Like what job is your money getting assigned by you? And when we put his actual financial life in front of us, I realized that we weren't looking at a debt problem. We were looking at where his money was going. That was a pattern, super common pattern, a pattern I see all the time. And so this is what I want each of you to stay here for today. Again, because we're only changing one assumption. You hear me say this all the time. We're changing one assumption out of his whole life. We're not giving him a raise. We're not finding lost money in this instance. We didn't tell him to do more work, to change his lifestyle, to stop spending more on experiences to create for his family in the last 5 years that he may have with his children at home. And it's just one assumption. And it sounds too good to be true. His wife actually said that to me today. She was mad. She was as mad as I was when I learned about this. I was like, if this is true, every American would do this. And that's what she said. And so when we changed the one assumption, his financial picture moved by hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we're not talking about a little shift. We're talking about an enormous shift over time. And so in this session, I'm going to show you exactly what we changed and what happened to his numbers. But before I do, there's something that you need to see first, because again, this guy's only in the second quarter. He's 47 years old. As a pilot, as an airline, a vet captain, he's making over $410,000 a year. And on his current path, he could be dealing with this debt over 30 years from now with the way the system's set up. And so this is where I felt like the conversation started to get real. And for me, that means I got interested. I started leaning in a little bit more. It started becoming more personal because he wasn't telling me, or I wasn't telling him, hey, you have to be more disciplined. This family already lived in an RV for 3.5 years so they could homeschool their kids, travel the country. They're intentional. He has a 25-year career. That's discipline. And he's throwing more than half of their discretionary income, actually more than half of their income. He's putting more towards his debt than he's putting towards their lifestyle per month. That's commitment. That's someone who wants to stop the bleeding, is it not? If you're enjoying this content and you're finding this valuable, every week I'm bringing you real life examples from real people who feel like they're stuck in a system that's not serving them. And we always talk about changing one thing changes everything. So if you're enjoying this, help me spread the message. Help me get this to more people like yourself that are finding this valuable. So smash, ring the bell, and subscribe to the channel to help spread that message. As always, be blessed. And let's get back and see how this captain was able to solve his problem, get his wife on board, and change their family trajectory forever by changing just one thing. So let's get back to it. So let's look at this. He's intentional, or they're intentional, disciplined, committed. The trifecta, the triumvirate, if you will. So maybe the problem isn't, why can't I get ahead, or I'm too far behind? Maybe the better question is, what's my discipline building? What's actually happening? Because you can be incredibly disciplined at feeding a system that never becomes yours. That was his shift. He wasn't too far behind. His money was simply being asked to solve the wrong problem first. Think about that. Like if you knew that changing one thing would change everything, would you want to know? So here's the question that I asked him and his wife to answer for me today. And I want you to answer the same question. When I pay extra towards these debts on a monthly basis, will I ever earn money on that money again? If the answer is no, what if I could earn money on all of this money again? Would you want to know if you could do that? And again, this is when we went through all of the numbers. And I told you we were only going to change one thing. So instead of throwing all the available cash like he was doing at the debt, we modeled, and this was per him. I didn't give him this number. I gave him parameters like the guidelines I talk about, right? The bumpers that we talked about in bowling. And I said, all right, walk me through how you are going to use the system. Like I told many of you, pretend you know what you're doing. Just get on the mat and walk me through it. And so he did. And then we built it. And then we ran the numbers. And his debt was eliminated in roughly a third of the time. Think about that. Instead of 30 years, a third of the time to be out of all the debt, the mortgage included. And then it took him another few years to pay back himself all the debt. And so his entire system paid back 3 years faster than the math-only debt payoff plan. And so this is what it looked like, right? Instead of potentially, you see here to the right, the debt snowball, he would have paid over $426,694 in interest using math, which is way more or way less than he would have paid over 30 years. That's still a lot of interest. That's still, 15 years? But then look, at the end of 12 years, Not only had he recaptured $418,000 because he kept capitalizing the system and paying himself back like an honest banker, right? The third principle. He has $867,000 of cash value now inside a system that he and his wife and family control to do whatever he wants with it. He didn't suddenly earn more money. We changed one thing. We changed where the money was going first. So that's the first part about how he was spinning wheels. And then his wife started asking about, well, what about the cherry on top, that highlighted blue number, that death benefit? So, oh yeah, well, now you're protected. And it will pay out at some time. It's not like term that has a very little chance that they already have, right? Because they were told to buy term and invest a difference. Whole nother topic, another day. But do you see the difference? Do you see the difference of having a plan that's not built for them, right? The no strategy, using math and saving a ton of interest, or using the banking concept, a system, a machine that's built for you. And this is why I don't watch it or want anyone watching this today and trying to copy his numbers. You might say, hey, I don't make that much, or hey, I don't have that much debt. That misses the entire point of our conversation. His life isn't your life. His life's not my life. His life isn't your debt. His cash flow isn't your cash flow. What changed over our conversations this week was that he was looking for a solution. He understood that things weren't working. He would remain in pain. Right? That one slide I was proud of. He would remain in pain for a long time if he kept following the same system. And that's why I built this system based on what he was comfortable with, right? And we always talk about how it has a manageable floor. That's how much has to stay in the policy. The meaningful ceiling, in his case, we could even accelerate that even more. That is the function of becoming a privatized banker. Because remember, having a policy is never the goal. It's having a system that you control, that you're number one. And so I want to share with you exactly how this looks every single time that someone has a strategy session with me, right? When you decide, hey, it's time for me to either build additional systems, or Jason, I've been watching forever. I've been trying to learn this. It's been years, and I'm tired of feeling like I'm spinning my wheels. And that's what happens in the strategy session is we take your numbers, we take your education level, we take your financial situation, and then we look at the three different paths. And I tell people all the time, most of you have heard me say this, I am never more attached to your outcome than you can be. Do I care? Yes. Yes, because I love the messages, the cards, the jars of honey, the hats, the banker hats that tell me, Jason, this is working. This is awesome. I had another guy reach out to me that already has 2 policies that I set up in 2023 and 2024. And looking, he's like, hey, I got this term over here. What do I do with it? It's going to expire soon. We had a class about that too, right? And that's why we have these strategy sessions. Because the more that you're bringing to me with your numbers, what's coming in, what's going out, we can look at your actual system and say, what will this look like for you, for your family? And that's not so I can tell you what to do. I'm looking, like I asked, for that permission of patterns, right? We don't have money problems, we have patterns. And that way you can finally see what you're choosing, what's possible, what happens if you start doing this and you start executing something that, one of my peers who's been at this for almost 50 years, check this out. He gave up every financial license he had, his fiduciary license. And you hear fiduciary, like my friend who introduced this to me, and you think, wow, that's top level. They have a responsibility to us to tell us the truth and put our interests first. That's what a fiduciary does. And when he wanted to teach this the way I'm teaching you and start talking about the tax codes and the IRS and all this stuff, I'm going a little off tangent here, but they said, you can't do that. And he said, well, how can I? Right? Same question I want all of you to ask. If you think you can't do this, rather than saying that, why not say, how can I? How can we? What if we could? And when you give yourself that permission, guess what? All the old patterns start falling away. It's not a matter of getting it here and understanding it here and proving it all works. It's like anything. We take action and the doing becomes who we become on the journey. So again, your numbers, your new system. No one else's. Like everyone here, you all have your system, you have your numbers. And Shayna, as I said earlier, this was for you. This is because you asked me this week with your daughter, hey, Jason, I like last week's. And again, we look at your plan, right? Your numbers. If you have debt, your debt elimination. What's the long-term legacy piece look like? Because first we have to live our life, and then we want to live and leave our kids better than we had. And the 3 paths, you'll see this for yourself side by side. What it looks like if you stay stuck in the system doing nothing different, how it improves using math alone, which just speeds up time. But remember the question, if I send all this extra money out to the other families, to the debts, will I ever earn money on that money again? And then the third one you're going to see is your system. And guess what? You're going to name your system, right? You're going to give it a privatized name because you're deciding, you're taking ownership. And if you're thinking there or sitting there thinking, Jason, I'm not ready for that conversation yet. That's all right. Don't force it. We have other tools, other mirrors that you can use in the future. And I'll share those with you too. You can get that information down below. I didn't tell Patty to have this one ready today. But you'll have a way to do a check-in, a family financial reality check. Because remember, the question I promised you today wasn't, how fast can I pay the debt off? Instead, it was, is there a system where I control everything, where I have guarantees, where I take on no more risk and I don't have to work harder? And it starts with that simple question of, where does my money need to go first? Like, where does it live? So again, if you do nothing else today, figure out that answer. Don't guess. No. If you're a little bit scared, lean into it. Again, give yourself permission to say, I know. Again, this 47-year-old pilot came into the conversation this week and he was tired. He was worn out and he was feeling like he's just spinning his wheels. And during our call, during the week, nothing changed about his income. Nothing about his family changed. Nothing about his past changed. What changed was what he could finally see, the pattern. So here's a question I'll leave you with so you can see your pattern. If the money is already leaving your checking account every month anyway, do you need to spend the next decade eliminating the past? Or do you want to use that same money, right, to start building what belongs in your family today? Start earning a guaranteed rate, a likely dividend, and protecting your family. 3 jobs, same dollar, different place it lives. So if you're ready, you know it. You've been listening. If this calls to you, go ahead and scan the QR code or click on the link below and have that strategy call with me. And we'll build your plan, not somebody else's, but yours, custom to you. And my time's limited. I only have so many calls per week I do because I'm out here creating content and doing this. I'm not going to run these calls forever, but if you want to have that call, go ahead and schedule below. And if you're not ready, totally cool. Take the family financial reality check. It'll be a mirror that'll hold up, show you 4 places in your financial life today where you can start making small changes to see big results. Do one, then stop. Stop spinning, start building, book your call today. And as always, keep learning. Go to this next video here, watch it, keep learning, keep getting closer to your money, giving your money a job. And I'll see you here. As always, super blessed that you are here, super appreciative. Help me spread the message. Smash, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in this video. Take care.